Everyone, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Mayor's Table. With me today is the man behind the camera for the Mayor's Table. We have today the San Juan Safe Communities Initiative Executive Director. Greg, is that the right frame?
Executive Director, yeah.
Greg Allen, Executive Director of San Juan Safe Community Initiative.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, man. We've been doing this a long time, and we've never put you out here, which... So if people are watching, they can see all, right next to you, you got the board set up and the sound, you're adjusting the sound. And
kind of double duty.
Yeah, this is fun, though.
It's kind of weird being on this side. It looks nice over here. Because those of you who may know me, if you saw that side.
Right, it's a different world.
You would see that Greg doesn't believe in filing cabinets.
It's easier to find stuff if it's just laid out, it's way easier.
I believe in, the existence of filing cabinets, just not their use.
Yeah, right. Greg, I'm glad you took up the call to come on here so we could talk about San Juan Safe Communities, because I don't think a lot of people know about the program and its history and kind of the part that it plays here in San Juan County. So there's a lot of good things that you guys are doing, and I wanted to give you a chance to talk about those and maybe drum up some support.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And, I feel we did a good job, but we do that through a lot of support from local people, businesses, government agencies, other nonprofits. And really, it kind of all begins 2006-ish with Dr. Henderson, our founding father.
Doc had his hands in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the kind of guy that you name buildings after.
That's exactly, yeah, absolutely. Very beautiful buildings, too.
Yeah. So, 2006, and we've had, I think, two other executive directors. I think Randy Large served at some point, and then Dan Darnell, I think, was the first paid executive director position, and now me.
Now you.
Yeah. That's
great. How long have you been the executive director?
Oh, you asked that question. Now I got to kind of think back and do some math.
Yeah.
So I think I'm on 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've been retired from the police department for almost 10.
9 years.
Yeah.
That has gone by quick. I didn't realize it had been 9 years.
It's a blur.
So you've been, 2013 then?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, March of 2013.
Yeah.
Now I think about it.
After a 23-year stint as a Farmington police officer.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's an incredible term, man.
That was a joy, yeah. I loved the work, and
I think
it went by fast.
Well, it gives you a little bit, with some of the stuff that you're working on, I think it gives you an edge. And I want to get into kind of some of these programs, and I think I'll just start with the youth housing project, the YHP, because I think when we were talking about this before we came on air, and you mentioned the fact that, these adults, they're young adults, finding a place for them to live, but then you kind of have that sense, man, that kind of street sense of things that are happening in those areas and maybe what the kids are doing and be able to help them through some tough times.
And I think that does help. And of course, our navigator, our administrator is Tracy Neff. She comes from kind of the juvenile world as well, and has kind of that street sense as well. So I think that plus HUD and plus the county and plus the city, those things together are kind of what makes something like that successful.
So what is the YHP program?
So it's a housing project or program for, and we call it youth, but really it's for young adults that are aged 18 to 24.
Okay.
They can be in the program for 2 years, and they do age out at 24. So 2 years and 24, and that's the maximum we can do with how HUD spells out this particular grant. And the county had sought this grant back in 2019 and began it kind of in 2019, early 2020. We hit COVID. And at the time, Safe Communities' piece in that was gathering furniture for these young people in need.
Yeah,
and
the fire department came to my house and
so we teamed up with
furniture away.
Yeah, teamed up with the fire department to help us move stuff because those guys can carry.
They were very quick. I thought, man, if I could use you guys anytime I move, that would be fantastic.
Big trucks, but thank you for your donation.
Yeah, of course.
So that's kind of how Safe Communities became involved in that particular project, and then we ended up contracting with the county to run the program as well, and now we are the recipients of the grant and solely run the program through, again, our administrator, Tracy Neff.
Sure. Who qualifies to be in the program? What kind of young adults are we talking about?
So there is a process, and ideally it's for people who are kind of aging out of the CYFD
Kind of
part of the
foster care
state.
program.
So it's either they were victims of their situations or they were on the juvenile justice side, but that's not exclusive.
Okay.
They just need to be homeless as defined by HUD, and I can't remember the exact definitions, and we find a place for them. But there's other nuances to it because we want them to be a successful adult.
Sure.
So part of that is going to school. If they don't have a high school education, trying to get them a GED, and then moving on to some kind of vocation or even, college as well.
So they have to meet a criteria in order to have access to the grant funding to have that housing,
Correct.
which I think is a great way of doing it because there's got to be some accountability on that side on their part, and that's good to hear.
And truly, we want, like I said, we want them to be a successful adult. So the goal is to, get a job, find something that you can do successfully, and then move on to the next part of your life because we only have you for 2 years.
Yeah.
So let's make the best out of this. And we've got a kiddo. I always say kiddo. I call my own kids kiddos, and they're
Like if you're
30.
under the age of 40, in my mind, you're a kiddo now. Which is sad to me.
So we got one that just graduated
Mm-hmm.
from Rocinante. We've got some that are moving on into college programs. Like we've got one that's becoming a barber. He'll be finished in August.
Excellent.
And he's a hard worker as well. We've got a gal that wants to be a dental hygienist. Another one who just applied to the CDL program at San Juan College.
Excellent.
And that's another thing. I have to, give a shout out to San Juan College and help with scholarships for some of these, kids as well, because those partnerships are really what, again, makes it a success for us to have these young people with a damaging background to be able to become a successful, productive adult.
It takes a village. I mean, I know that's a
That's a
term,
good
right?
point.
It takes a
Yeah.
village, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. And if
Yeah.
you look at the entities that are involved with San Juan Safe Communities, I mean, we had a board meeting the other day, and I mean, you've got Farmington PD, you've got the county, you've got the college, you've got a number of our social service groups that are on there as well, who are there, and we've got Pastor Randy Joslin's on there, and Randy Joslin's been on the board, I know, for a very long time. So it's great to see that we're at the table, we're talking about those things, and I'm kind of excited. I think Chief Hebby is now the chairperson,
He is, yeah.
and he laid out the roadmap. He's like, we're going to come with this, and we're going to do these things, and I'm excited.
Yeah,
it'll be
me
fun.
too.
Yeah, Dr. Gene Schmidt with Farmington Municipal Schools, who's retiring, so he's been the chairperson for
For a few years.
few years, yeah.
I can't remember. And, obviously Dr. Henderson.
yeah.
And then, COVID time and, his passing, Gene
Yeah.
took that role. And
I like
and
Gene.
Still moving forward.
Gene's done a good job
Yeah.
in his role, and
And a
we
very
wish-
caring individual.
Very caring, absolutely. So that's the YHP component. Now, it's grant funded, but certainly if people were interested in donating, I mean, obviously, do you do calls out if you need furniture? Or is there always a need for
We
furniture?
do. Yeah, there's always a need. And right now, the grant says that we can house 11.
Okay,
But that's kind of situational because if they get to a point where they're working and they can pay for a piece of that rent, we might theoretically be able to open a 12th position. We haven't got to that point,
yeah.
but
Do we have all
in
11?
the realm of possibility. But
All 11 are filled right now?
yes,
That's
yes.
great.
Yeah, we've got our 11th kid, but we're trying to find a place for that
Okay.
person right now.
And I guess if anybody's watching this too, if they
Oh, yeah,
have
yeah.
apartments or places that they rent out,
Yeah, if you have a landlord, if you're a landlord or know of a place that is suitable for a young person, kind of think of, a person starting out
yeah,
and those needs. Hey, furniture, kitchenware, anything that you can do to help is
do they
certainly
call?
a-
Do they call you? How do
great
they
thing.
get a hold?
So they can call me at 599-1492, 1492. It's kinda
1492?
Easy to remember.
Columbus Sale, Ocean Blue.
Yeah, or you can email me at gregallen@sjsci.org.
Okay,
So either or.
we got to plug that
Yeah.
so that we can get that stuff.
Yeah.
And I know
And if you want to help us carry stuff, that's great too. Greg got a bad back.
Greg got a bad back. Yeah. So YHP is one of the, obviously just one of the facets of things you do. Umatter is another one.
Yep.
This is a great program with our high school students, and we'd love for you to kind of talk about that. And is the application process over, or is that just beginning? Or
So we're in nomination phase right now for our next academic year, which would be 22-23.
okay,
So we're actively seeking nominations of students who are juniors right now that can serve during their senior academic year. So nominations close March 31st. It's an online nomination form. So you go to our website, umattr.com, and you'll
Okay.
see the nomination tab at the top. Fill out the form. It goes to myself and to Vicki Campbell, who's our UMatter coordinator, and she really is the one who gets the job done.
sure,
And she'll kind of do a quick little assessment of you and send out an application. So then there's an application process, and then we'll do interviews in May.
what does Umatter do?
So that is kind of huge. You know, we refer to it as the trading card program, and I'll kind of show these on the screen later. So we create these trading cards of these young people that I don't want to say that they're role models, but they're kind of potentially those things. They're homegrown kids that are involved in our community and have a story to share with young people on how they navigated through a particularly bad situation,
Yeah.
whether it was bullying or pressure to use drugs or loss in their family. You know, and people will say, "Oh, these are the kids that are cream of the crop." These are bright kids, and we choose them because they know how to present to groups of people. And mostly we're looking at somebody who's going to stick to the commitment of being drug-free and not becoming involved in a crime. But the most important thing is that they have a story to share how they navigated through something difficult or tragic. And out there in the community, there's going to be a kid that can relate to that.
Sure.
And it's not like, you know, it's some sports figure or Hollywood person, you know, up on some pedestal or a poster in the room.
Right.
This is a homegrown kid that another kid can relate to.
I like that. How many kids are in the Umata program each
So
year?
this year we have 8. Typically we choose 12.
Okay.
And
Does there need to be every high school represented?
we
on
try
that?
to as best we can, but it's competitive. So that doesn't always work out, and then I get nasty calls that, hey, you didn't. But it's competitive.
Yeah.
And it's about that story, and it's about them being able to present that story in a public setting. But it's also about being involved in your community. Because, you know, like you encouraging people to volunteer,
Sure.
this is kind of a volunteer thing. We do give them a scholarship, you know, thanks to some sponsors. But again, we're looking for that kid that's engaged
Yeah.
in the community.
And can relate with others.
Because we want to promote that in others.
Yeah.
You know, make good grades. Something crappy happens, navigate through it, and become a good citizen to Farmington and San Juan County and Aztec and Bloomfield and Shiprock.
And surround yourself with good people, because it makes
And that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is those friends you hang out with.
absolutely makes a huge difference. Even as an adult, it makes a huge difference.
But you had asked how many, and
Yeah.
and COVID, just before that, we picked 14, our biggest group ever, and we weren't able to do face-to-face assemblies in schools.
Yeah.
So we went kind of this online format. We use kind of this studio to do those things. But then our season after that, we chose 8, so we have 8 right now, and going into a whole new group.
Right.
Which they turn around so fast. It's hard to believe it's already time to.
They're going to be graduating.
interview
They're going to
more,
be
yeah.
graduating. This
Yeah.
group's going to be graduating.
Yeah. In fact, we're having a recognition event for them at the Farmington Civic Center on April 6th in the big auditorium at 6:30, just recognizing the work that they did for our community.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I love that program. I love the trading card stuff. When I was a kid, the police department in my neighborhood, they had trading cards for all the police officers, and you know, they would stop at every park, and all the kids would run over and they'd hand out their cards, and I just thought it was a really good way to engage.
Yeah.
You know.
And actually, we did that very same thing. We had trading cards of
Yeah.
cops
Yeah.
here in Farmington. And years ago, Farmington bought into the community policing role, and I was
Sure.
involved in that. I was a school resource officer for a long time, and a SWAT cop, and different roles on SWAT, and a detective. So I've served many roles, but truly the one that made the difference was that community-oriented policing, being involved in your community, and in the school district as well.
Yeah. Still going.
Yeah,
I think they're
yeah,
doing a
it
really
is.
good job
Yeah.
at it.
I enjoyed bike patrol. That was always a fun one
Yeah.
to do as well.
The Mental Health Task Force is another initiative that you've undertaken. And before we move on from that, I mean, if somebody has a nomination that they want to give for the Umata program, is it just on the San Juan Safe Communities Initiative website?
Umatter.com, and we spell
Umatter.com.
it oddly, UMATTR.com.
Okay.
It's because that's the domain that we could get to have our website.
Got
and
it.
you'll see a nomination tab at the top of the top nav bar.
UMATTR.com.
Yeah.
All right. So Mental Health Task Force, another initiative. Tell me about that.
So it's kind of one of our intervention strategies. So really, it's a monthly meeting where that Safe Communities hosts, where organizations surrounding the kind of behavioral and mental health arena, we meet once a month to talk about things that are going on. And it's really the most helpful thing about it is it's a face-to-face meeting where all of the agencies know each other, and it's a networking group. So because of that face-to-face time, they know, hey, if I have this issue or client, I can call so-and-so
Sure.
with whatever agency.
So we're talking like, well, you got the Mental Health Resource Center, which the county operates,
Correct,
but
yeah.
then you also have New Mexico Partnership. Is it like Family Crisis?
So we don't have a
Those
representative
groups,
from Family
TOTA.
Crisis, but we got, like TOTA, PMS, Sexual Assault Services, Desert View Family Counseling, Cottonwood Clinical Services. I'm
Sure.
leaving a whole bunch out.
It's a big group, and we have a very robust
San
group
Juan
of
Health
social services
Partners.
here.
I mean, yeah, our meetings, and we're still doing them by Zoom because we have 40 people that attend the meetings.
Wow.
And clearly we wouldn't be able to do that
Sure.
here like we used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
and
now.
and we do have side projects. So September is Recovery Month. So we hosted an event with some health booths for people to kind of seek information regarding mostly mental health, but also substance abuse, because occasionally they go hand in hand.
Sure.
And it's kind of a fun event. We had a DJ and did some fun things as well, but it was also educational. But we can do things like that. We talked about the village. Recovery communities in New Mexico, we had a mini grant to do that. Angel Peak Counseling, and then also Cottonwood Clinical Services, some kind of sponsors for events like that help us, get that message out to people who might be in need.
And that's the point of it, right? Is to be able to have the outreach component to make sure people know how to access
Yes.
those resources. And is that initiative on the San Juan County Safe Communities website as well?
It is. So if you go to SJSCI.org, you'll see a nav bar at the top and resources, but you'll also see some nav buttons on the side, and you'll see one specific to the mental health task group. So, if you have an agency or organization that's part of that, you're welcome to join us at our monthly meetings. We have a subgroup from that. Our chairperson is Gretchen Potter. And in that subgroup, we plan things like the event we had in September. We've got a new one coming up April 29th. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're kind of creating this safe place for our peer-to-peer community to kind of be together and celebrate sobriety and recovery and how they've navigated through their mental health
Right.
needs and issues, and it's a fun evening for them to kind of have a dining experience and to be with each other in a positive environment. We refer to it as being a pro-social, but obviously other people are invited too, sponsors and so forth, and
Yeah.
just kind of have a fun evening. It's kind of a square dance theme this year.
All right.
and we're calling it hay bales and and cowbells. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And anybody can get involved in that
Sure can, yeah.
and support it. And I think
Just-
that's the same with all of your initiatives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a community thing. San Juan Safe Communities
Right.
Initiative.
The other part of your job, which is the part of the job that, the mayor's table component, but is your video production.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a one-man video production team. And I've been interviewed by, like KOB and different places, and they come with like 6 people on their team to set the camera, set the sound, to set the lighting. I mean, everybody's got a particular job.
Uh-huh.
You do all those jobs.
I do.
And the mayor's table actually is your brainchild. I mean, this came out. I remember the conversation the first time we talked about it when I was a counselor, and
Yeah.
Mayor Roberts stepped up and started this, and it was all in his office. And
Yeah, it was.
since then, we've been we've
branched out.
Yeah, we've branched out. We've gone and done things in Bistai. And, we went fishing. We need to do some of those again.
See, I was gonna ask you. So, which was your favorite episode?
I really liked. I think those two. I mean, the Bistai and fishing.
Yeah, I think those were two.
They were pretty exciting.
I always like the ones with you and Rob.
Yeah.
Rob May is the city manager, because I know I'm kind of a geek when it comes to hearing about those things that the city's facing and how you guys are navigating through those.
I get a lot of feedback when Rob's on.
Okay.
Like, I'll get a lot of people like, "Hey, I saw that. That was great." Or Hank when Hank Adair was on here for Farmers Electric Utility.
Those are always good ones as well.
I get a lot of feedback there, and there's a lot of content.
And Dave Cipher, I always like to hear about infrastructure stuff.
We need to get David back on here
I like that
soon,
kind of
because
stuff.
roads, I mean, honestly, if there's one topic that everybody wants to talk about, with me particularly, it's roads.
Yeah.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't have a handful of conversations about this or that dealing with roads.
We need them.
I know.
I mean, it's the main structure aside from clean water and getting our waste out of the house.
I guess it's good.
And electricity, yeah.
When I think about this from the standpoint of, as a business manager and owner throughout my career, if I'm dealing with things like sweeping the sidewalks or cleaning the toilet, that means everything else is operating efficiently in the way it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. So we don't have people talking about, hey, I don't have clean water coming in through my taps. We don't have people talking about how come I don't get electricity. Mm-hmm. I was out for, I mean, obviously electricity goes out on occasion, but to be 99%.
Nothing that's,
yeah, nothing. Yeah, right. So if it's just roads, okay, then we're doing all the other things right. Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
Because when you think about safe communities, that's what we're about. It's
Sure.
Safe Communities Initiative. You always think first responders, police,
You do.
fire. But really, if you dig deeper, it's those infrastructure things, roads, getting electricity, power to your house, clean water, getting waste back out, and being able to go
and
travel.
And it's accessible.
Those are the things that really are the building blocks to be a safe community. And to me, that's why the mayor's table is so important, is that we're letting people know, these are the things that are important to us as a community to be safe. But also and you guys do a tremendous job, you city councilors and city manager. There's difficult decisions to be made.
Right.
And we can all sit back and armchair quarterback in regards to a city council meeting that we didn't attend and say, well, if I was so-and-so, I would. But we have to understand, people have to make these difficult decisions, and I think we need to support those people who have to make those decisions.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't want to be in that place to do that. And when we talk about jobs and saving jobs and having affordable electricity, affordable water, again, those building blocks of basic human needs.
Well, I would say this about, and I completely agree with you, and I'm glad that you see that, because what I've always strived to do in this role is to not have something like an agenda. When individuals show up with an agenda, it's always this: they got the blinders on. It's this one issue that they're most focused on. Nothing else really matters to them. And what I think is great is, on that city council, I don't see anybody who's like that. I see individuals who are truly community, centric in the broad scope of what makes a safe community, and they do a really good job. And I do encourage people to come to the meetings. I encourage them to to watch them online, be involved in those things, see the agenda each week and what we're talking about, because there's going to be something in there at some point. You're going to be like, you know what, I'm interested in that, and I would like to know what my elected officials think about it. And every meeting you can come and there's time at the end of the meeting for you to speak. If there's something that's heavy on your heart, on your mind, things that you would like to share, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, it's an opportunity for us to be a community there at City Hall where these decisions are being made.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. I encourage people to be engaged in that. I've always felt like, if I'm not engaged in something, how much do I have the right to complain about it unless I'm trying to be a part of it?
Yeah.
I think that's an important component.
Yeah.
If I'm not willing to put forth the effort to assist or to provide insight or to help direct, then, man, my complaint is just like every other complaint.
Yeah.
We all have two armpits and they all stink.
Yeah.
And I have my own.
Yeah.
I mean, my own opinions on things too. There's times where I got to catch myself. All right, well, what are you willing to do to make the change that you want to see? What are you willing to do to make that happen?
Yep, exactly. And you said those things, and it makes me think back to kind of when I started with Safe Communities. I think we were a year and a half in where we did went through some strategic planning and came up with our vision statement of, we just wanting San Juan County to be a safe place for people to live, work, and play. I mean, that's
Right.
kind of generic. But the board came up with a list of attributes, and being involved in your community is kind of like one of those top pieces, or employment, and just engaging with the community, making you part of it.
Sure.
But those are the things that make it a welcoming community as well.
No,
So if we have
absolutely.
those things, then, that encourages businesses to move here, or people to move here to work or play,
Yeah.
all of our mountain biking, trails and, kayaking.
Another reason why
rafting
roads are
and
so
the
important is
lake and
because
so
you
forth.
come in and out of the city on the roads.
Yeah.
And so when you have clean roads and you have roads that don't have potholes and then it's that you get that sense that this is a clean, nice, friendly place to be. I can tell you the cities I go throughout New Mexico where the roads are really, really bad. Like I get some
Yeah.
parts of
Oh,
our
yeah,
roads
yeah.
and you're going through and it feels dirty. It looks dirty. We spend a lot of time, money, and energy to make sure that we've got street sweepers that are out there that are maintained, keeping all that gravel cleaned up as best as we can, because if you talk to David Cipher about that, it's critical to the dirt and the gravel and everything gets off of there because it damages the asphalt.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress. But I'm glad you brought that point of view because it is all a component of a safe community. How you perceive the place that you live is going to dictate your attitude about that place. And I hope that people get the same sense that I feel like you and I get, that we live in a safe place. There's obviously things that happen that are out of the control of local government. They're out of control of the police department or the fire
making
department.
decisions.
People make bad choices. And you can't always fix those bad choices. But programs like you're operating here with Umata or Youth Housing Project, you're giving people an opportunity to better themselves. You're putting individuals like Umata in front of other folks and saying, look, I've been through those struggles too. It's not easy. Life isn't easy. It's the hardest thing, right? Putting those individuals into a place where they can have that type of influence to try and make, those individuals make better choices so that they can improve their lives. It's critical. So this is a really good program that we have here, and
I appreciate
I need to attend more board meetings, apparently.
And really, when you think about it, we're rural New Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, really, 40,000 people, and look at what we have here. And granted, we have the bigger MRA and the bigger area, but
Yeah.
truly, if you were to look at other cities that had a population of 40,000-ish people, there's not the same things.
It's very
And I
different.
think when you're not engaged in the community or paying attention, you get a little spoiled, and your expectations become a little maybe ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you need to remember, we have it pretty good here in our neck of the woods in San Juan County and in Farmington.
I feel like we have a very, rational population of people. And
that's what helps.
Yeah, and there's some common sense that prevails in most situations. And but yeah, it's 300,000 people who are coming through this town of 40,000 people
Exactly.
throughout the month.
Yeah.
And if you were a police officer for 23 years, I know in conversations with other police departments, they're like, how many police officers do you have? And only a 40,000?
And I would get that
46,000?
traveling,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're like, well, but it's different here.
It
I mean,
is.
we're really the biggest service provider, from here to Albuquerque, here to Phoenix, we're got a broad place.
People will talk about crime and, oh my gosh, crime's ridiculous. But really, when you look at it, it's a very small group of people making those bad decisions and choosing to hang out with the people they probably shouldn't be.
Right.
They're kind of putting themselves in those positions. It's pretty rare that we have random crime. I mean, it does happen. Somebody steals your bike or breaks your car window or steals something out of your car, but in the grand scheme, you can pretty much depend that your stuff, your property is going to be mostly safe.
Normally,
unless
it's,
you don't lock your stuff.
Right. Normally, it's bad people doing things to bad
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
that's typically, unfortunately.
But no, it's a really good point. Obviously, Greg, we could talk a lot about other things. You do a lot of video production for the other nonprofits as well. Can you talk a little about that?
So some of it's like live streaming. We tend to use Facebook. That seems to be the easiest vehicle to get, a live production out. We've done some forums with the police department, Farmington Police Department, in some of their community outreach. Also with San Juan County Partnership, we have a quarterly live stream series where we talk about polysubstance abuse. What causes, how can you recognize people might be involved in using multiple drug substances, which is common here. And we see a lot of alcohol, marijuana, fentanyl, methamphetamine, so it's kind of a cross between those.
Right.
But also the services that are available if you have a loved one or you're in need, you can link to, perhaps watching these. You can find those particular links. We've done some other things. I think we did some stuff with the city when you guys were doing your 2040 plan? My mind just kind of
comprehensive plan.
So some things there as well. And then just other things that are promoting the area.
Yeah.
Whether it's anywhere from trash collection to, and this kind of reminds me of one of my favorite videos with you is when we did the gridiron gallery. Gallery. That was a fun one
at the
to
museum.
produce, and that was fun. You did a good job on that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, thanks for all you do. You've grown. I mean, the square footage you're taking up here now. I mean, you're growing. But good things are
Just
happening.
start
And
absorbing areas.
but if anybody wants to get involved, if they want to donate, I certainly I encourage that. And it's a great kind of clearinghouse, I think, for a lot of different opportunities for people to get involved and find something they're passionate about and help our community grow and be safer and cleaner and nicer and in a lot of different ways. But thank you for your work and for
appreciate
Vicki and Tracy
Yeah.
and who else? Anybody? Are those?
So we've had other people. Cindy Collier was running a program that we call Double Trouble in Recovery. She's moved on to other things. She's moving back to Taos. But,
Okay.
She tried her best to kind of help that peer-to-peer community that I was talking about. People just needing to be together and and kind of navigate with each other through those problems that we're facing. But really, I'd have to say, I have to thank, obviously our board of directors, because they kind of give me a kind of a loose rein to kind of do stuff and look for work.
Sure.
But we wouldn't be able to do that without the county government, who helps sponsor us, the city, because you sponsor us as well, and of course, the space that the city helps out with as well. But business sponsors, Marion Foundation.
Man.
Oh my gosh! I mean, look at how much T. Greg, Neil, Patty, and just that foundation itself. Marion Oil and Gas, what they do for our community. George Sharp. I mean,
We're so fortunate to have them here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the hospital, San Juan Regional Medical Center, they've been a contributor to us as well financially. Pesco, Kyle Rhodes, he talk about a big supporter of local community things. Costa Vida, Taco Bell. When I say Taco Bell, Costa Vida, I'm talking about here in Farmington.
The Hatches and the Andersons.
Exactly.
And,
yeah, exactly. And Kenny Anderson, I mean, think about what he does for youth through Taco Bell and Boys and Girls Club. You kind of mentioned George Sharp again. Oh, and then Shay and Allie Davies. Aspen Leaf. They help us out as well. I'm sure I'm going to leave people out. Spudnuts has been a contributor. Waste Management, Terry Fortner, John Beckstead, big supporters of us as well. And I kind of mentioned, Recovery Communities of New Mexico, Angel Peak Counseling. I'm kind of boring everybody.
No, I mean, these are good. I mean,
And then Cottonwood Clinical Services.
I think it's good for people to know how many folks are contributing to different things.
We talked about that village thing, and truly, it's the community that makes it happen, and those are the people that help me kind of allow these things to happen.
Sure. Well, thanks for your boots on the ground effort to kind of utilize those resources in ways that make a difference.
Thanks for having me on this side
Yeah.
of the camera. We'll see how it looks.
It's going to look great. We need to do a podcast is what we need to be doing.
Hey, there
this
we
is a
go.
good podcast conversation. Anything else you want to add?
I think I'm good
You want to thank your wife?
for now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
she's
I
a big
gotta give
supporter.
her a shout out because she's watching. I couldn't do anything without her.
No good man is not without a good woman.
her
That's for
support,
sure.
yeah.
Well, Greg, thanks for all you do here at San Luis Safe Communities and to the board and everybody who's involved. And 2006, so we've been around for 16 years.
Yeah.
Imagine we'll just keep going forward with the support of the community and finding other ways that we can grow and broaden kind of the outreach that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thank you for tuning in here. And obviously, if you're interested in contributing or being a part of San Juan Safe Communities, Greg Allen is the executive director. Greg, what's the website or phone number they can reach out to?
So SJSCI.org, you'll see contact information on there, but you can also contact me at gregallen@sjsci.org, or just call the phone number 599-1492.
All right.
1492.
1492. All right. Well, thank you again for tuning in to this episode of the Mayor's Table. We'll be back here later this month with other exciting episodes, and we appreciate all you do here in the community. Get out there and make the most of this week. We'll see you here next time.